Welcome to Out of the Noise podcast, a spiritual growth podcast. This podcast is about holding sacred space to help assist humanity to raise their consciousness through connection by having courageous conversations out of the noise of mainstream with heart-centered leaders, wisdom keepers, and divine humans expanding into their authenticity and soul purpose. We will explore spiritual concepts, practices, and shadow to deepen into your healing and the collective. Priestess Lily is a medium, light activator, and heart-centered leader that is committed in raising the light frequency and consciousness here on Earth for us all. You can work with her and learn more by visiting www.priestesslily.com. Enjoy your spiritual learnings.
Welcome to Out of the Noise. I am Priestess Lily, a channeler, sacred heart healer, and space holder. My purpose is to create content to help assist humanity rise in consciousness through connection. I do this by facilitating courageous conversations that will leave you activated alongside heart-centered leaders, wisdom keepers, and divine humans expanding into their authenticity and soul purpose. Together, we strive to assist a high level of consciousness and help each other on our own spiritual journeys. Today's beautiful guest is the Jacob Ra. Jacob shares his wisdom and guidance about the ascension process and the new light codes that are coming into Earth during this time, and what it truly means to be able to hold more light. Today, I'd like to welcome to the podcast, Jacob. I met Jacob about probably 3 months ago at the expo, spiritual expo. Really connected to his work, really connected to him, and definitely the light codes and his energy as a whole that he has and presents on the planet. So welcome, Jacob.
Thank you. Nice to be here. Nice, yeah. I feel very grateful to join you and see where this takes us.
So we've got no plan for this podcast today. We've just decided to show up and have a conversation and see where it takes us and where spirit leads us. Hey, Jacob.
Yeah, that's that. Bit like the wind, picking up a leaf.
Totally. So what do you feel? Because obviously the energy right now on Earth is so potent, and it's just so potent, and it's so shifting and changing so quickly that it's an opportunity for us to heal, and I see it as an opportunity for us to ascend. What do you feel?
Yeah, totally. I totally resonate with that, and I think it's important for people to know, and I know there are people who know this, but there are people who don't, that ascending is about in your body, being in your body, your human vessel and the planet, and we do that together. So as we as humans ascend to a crystalline being, the earth also ascends to her crystalline being, and they're both awakened. So one assists the other. So, the light codes and whatever you want to call it, that's hitting the planet is incredible at the moment. It's just amazing. And for those of us who are aware of it, it can still be full on. And I think for those who aren't, it is full on as well, but they're not aware of what that full on aspect is.
And I think that's so noticeable for me. When you say ascension's about being more present in the body, let's just talk about that aspect. I think that's so noticeable for me as someone that understands that. And don't get me wrong, my life's not perfect by any means. I have challenges just like everybody else because it's part of our human experience.
Yeah.
But it's so noticeable, the distraction, the levels of distraction that people will go to in their lives not to be connected to their bodies or connected to their soul. Like right now, I just think there's a surge of mental health, drugging, drinking for people, which is just people, not wanting to feel or be present in what they're
witnessing or experiencing on earth, or what emotions are going through, and the level of suffering. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. I mean, I was there myself. So, like you, you know, I have a very human aspect to me, and I had many years of heavy drinking and drug using, and it's we're so good at not feeling, like you say, you know, especially us males, you know, because it's, you know, be tough and strong and show no emotion and soldier on and do. And, you know, I remember in the working class days, I was told quiche were only for women, you know, real men don't eat quiche. And it seems to be still present, you know, like it's like you say, and I feel you know, it's that classic, the stronger the light that comes onto the planet, the more the dark will come out, you know, and that's what has to happen. So if people are in that mode of just living unconsciously and doing their things that they love to enjoy, that keeps them in that place, then yeah, it's very hard for that light to come in and touch them. And it takes people like us to step out and to shine our light and be an example. We're not about telling people what to do, but just inviting, really, just being an invitation for what's possible and just doing what we can as conscious people, you know.
And I think that's what you've shared is really important. It doesn't come easy. We're human too. As much as it looks like, you know, we hold our light and we've got our shit together. I know for myself, you know, last year I was deep in the shadows. I was deep in the shadows of consciousness, and I felt extremely unsafe by the low consciousness people around me and the decisions that they were making, and what, you know, the decisions that they were making, which I was okay about, but how that was having a ripple effect on others that were choosing differently.
Yeah,
you go.
I think it's good, you know, like we have tools, because this is where the observer really comes in as well. You know, we feel this energy and we go, you know, I can't cope, or I need to get out of here, or whatever. And if you're in a place where you can't leave or whatever, then we have some tools, and like just being the observer of noticing what's happening for ourselves as well within any situation is a great way to shift through some things and bring ourselves grounded again, you know, connected with that conscious self and earth. And but yeah, it's tough. You know, I've just gone through my dad. It's just been 1 year since he passed over. I came back from Europe for that, and I was there for my mum and been around family, and you know, I love my family and I'm close to my family, but my family and I'm me, and we live very differently. And I had to watch myself, you know, at times I would really lose myself and forget about even using my tools and just fall into the energy that I was around, just kind of getting sucked into it, and then, yeah, being quite rattled. It happens so easy because we're so empathic and so open. So it is vital to have these tools, and there's many ways, you know, many ways of living consciously, and many tools, and you just find what resonates and what you see assists you, and that's good for you, and it might not be for someone else, but that's all good as well.
Oh, look, I totally agree. And absolutely. And I feel like right now more than earth, you know, this is, as much as people, we call it, you know, mainstream's calling it the Great Awakening. And yes, that is true. We are awakening not only to the consciousness of the planet and the collective energy, but we're also being called to awaken more to ourselves. And for some people, that can be extremely scary. So what would you say for someone that is in that struggle of dark and the light, of awakening to themselves? What would you say, you know, to those people? What guidance are you feeling called to speak?
The first part is they have to come to a place where they have a question. I feel if they don't have any form of questioning their life in any way, it's very hard to reach them, you know, and I have some old friends like that, and recently they left some voicemail on my phone. I hardly, and they were just giving me shit. They were drunk and off their heads or whatever, and I was just like, well, this is fascinating. And, you know, as much as our friends, I just know I can't reach them, you know, because they were giving me shit about I changed my name and who I am now and all this kind of stuff. And so I just find people have to be inquiring in some way, and then you have an avenue, you know, you have it, because it's, for me, it's invitational, you know. So then you have an avenue into what that is, and wherever they're at or whatever it is, it gives you something to share with them. So, you know, it could be about their job, and it doesn't really matter what it is. You can just start to inquire about their emotions and how they're feeling about themselves. I feel it can be a little bit confronting, but I feel that's a really good way to get into reaching someone, and sometimes it takes a little bit of a shake as well, you know. For us, you know, like my journey, when I really woke up was one of my best friends passing over in his mid-30s, you know, and so, yeah, you know, and then I broke down at work one day at my boss. I lost it actually at him, and then I broke down in a heap, and I asked myself 2 questions, you know, what am I going to do about this, and what's life really about? And because I asked those questions, I invited my guides, higher self, the universe, just to go, here, we'll show you. And my whole world just totally flipped upside down, you know. Everything I was doing just went out the door. With it, I was done with it, you know. And so I think because the light's so strong, that can happen as well. For me, when I work closely with people, I'm really about them being their own master, and, you know, them accessing their own essence and their soul expression. So they have to have the willingness of whatever's being presented to them to do the work, to own their stuff, to move through it. And it really is about feeling. It's about the embodiment. You know, we're here to embody our conscious crystalline self. So we have to feel what's in our body. So I would just, you know, it depends on where people are, but these are the kind of things that I would ask, you know, like how are you with your life? Where do you feel you are in life? Is there something you would love to do differently than what you're doing? Are you enjoying your job? Have you thought about living somewhere else? You know, just these basic human kind of things, but they're avenues into a higher conscious way of relating.
You know, I believe for me there was many pivotal moments in my awakening where I didn't, you know, there was like not just the light being shown once, it was several different times for me. That was like aha moments. But I remember very similar to you, like when my best friend passed, that was a massive pivotal awakening for me. And, you know, she was the only person for me personally that actually knew that I was a medium and could do readings. She was the only one person that I showed up in all of myself, and she loved me for me. And so that for me was this real like, and then she just haunted me until I started to move. And it was like, you know, my biggest thing was showing up as my authentic self, as who I was, as a, you know, as the medium, as the creator, as the channel, as the vessel. And the interesting thing was, once I got over that, it was okay, because I was very scared of my gift and scared of scared of my gift and scared about how people would perceive it. But, you know, it was like, okay, well, we're here. How am I going to be of service? How am I going to be? I'm here in this time in life right now. How am I to be used, and how am I to be of service? And that, as soon as I stepped into that vibration, massive shifts for me. Like a massive conscious shift of actually, I need to fully embody this aspect of me, not be half-assed. So I completely get exactly what you're saying on so many levels. So when you say, Krista, for those listening, when you say crystalline body, crystalline soul, let's go there, because some people are probably going, I thought Ascension was around reaching this point and then everything would be kumbaya. And now we're saying it's, to be embodied and to be present and to feel. And we're moving to our lighter body, our crystalline body. For those listening that is new terminology or a new pathway, do you want to explain that to them?
Yeah, well, we are crystalline. I mean, it's about relating as well, because we look at our body and we tap it. It's very matter. We can feel it. It's physical. It's solid. It's got bones, muscles. But if we break it down, if we go further, we go deeper into it, molecules, atoms, and so on, and goes beyond, and then get into the subatomic. There's nothing. It's just made of nothingness, and it's just energy, and everything is energy, sound, and vibration. Mm-hmm. So within all that, we have a crystalline being, a light body, and that's consciousness itself. And consciousness is everywhere, and everything holds a conscious frequency. I mean, a table made by a human, it has a vibration, it has a consciousness, So it's really about that, Mother Earth, and this is where the real truth of who we are and what it is we are here to be is held. That's the home of homes, let's say. When you can access that, you are everything. There's this vast nothingness, and within that there's everything, and that's within the body. So ascension, there's this perception of ascending, because the word itself is up, so we're ascending. So people think we're going somewhere else, think heaven somewhere else and all this. Actually, it's really about bringing it down into the body. There's a reason why we're here on earth. There's a reason why we're in a human body. And, it's really about understanding, or I say understanding, because I'm also noticing the way we have been taught to verbalise doesn't always support us as well, and it's how you relate as well. It can be fine, your intention can be very powerful as well, so you can have good intention on whatever you say and it holds a specific vibration, or you can feel into a word and say, is this empowering or not, So for me, I've come to a place with the word understand. I think about it and go, I don't want to stand under anything. I am I am the creator, so I create my reality. So I tend to talk about understand, because not only does it shift from understand, but it also invites what's within me to come out and be and stand forth. It's, you take it or not, it's just what resonates, and things shift. And what I found on my journey is something that feels very true, is true, and then at a time it disappears and something else presents itself as true, and that's part of the evolution of it. So becoming crystalline, I feel, is just embodying, getting into the depths of our body where that crystalline vessel is, which is light, vibration, sound, crystalline, anchored, grounded as well. Very, very important to know how to be grounded, because when we get into these high energies, we can get up and out of our space out, and then we're like a tree blowing in the wind, and that wind isn't beautiful nature, but it's everyone else's ways of being and the environment and everything within it, and you get lost and you can be not feeling good or whatever. So again, being grounded is critical.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think for me, probably about 4 years ago, the word came through, you're here to anchor more light. And I was like, I don't really, not really sure what that means. Now that's what we're here to do, anchor more light within our soul body, within our, our body, but also anchor more light in the actual collective and in the world. So the frequency of the earth shifts, the frequency of our consciousness shifts to us ascending into being more connected to other solar planets.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, it is. It is. The anchoring super important, and that's the aspect of grounding, and it is. We, like I said before, as we awaken, Mother Earth awakens. There's no separation. We are nature itself. We just move actually very much like nature. We're very simplistic beings. It's the human aspect and all the conditionings and programs and all that, and the mind and the ego that makes everything complicated. So that's also another good tool, is to just recognise the mind is busy if you're living in an everyday world or you're asking questions. And I've found some people actually come to, when I was doing regular meditations classes, and I remember this, I met this person who came to my class and she was there with her mum, and the mum said, I can't come to your class, my mind's too busy. And I said, interesting. I said, so what is it about your mind? She said, it just won't stop. And I said, well, have you tried not stopping that? And she was like, what do you mean? Like, aren't you meant to stop it to meditate? And I said, sure, you want to be still, but if your mind's super active and you're saying to yourself, I need to still the mind, for me, that is the mind itself saying that. Because your conscious self, it's okay with your mind. It doesn't matter what your mind, if you're connected with your conscious self, your mind can do what it likes, Yeah. So what I taught her was to have a conversation with the mind, actually befriend it. Say, why are you having that thought? Where did that thought come from? That's an interesting thought. And just, relate with it rather than trying to stop it, because that just feeds it. So if you relate to it, it starts to quieten down in its own accord. And she came to my class and, she had visuals and an amazing experience after that.
Out there, right. And I think because we're so in a system and we're so used to not being connected to ourselves, and I think that's gradually just happened as, technologies come in, TV, the food we eat, it's multifaceted, that in a bigger conversation. There's so much information, distortions coming at us that is actually coming at us for us not to connect to, not to connect to ourselves, not to raise our consciousness. And as more light frequencies and light codes come onto the planet and more people anchor light into the planet, what's going to happen is we're going to really feel that splitting. And you can start to feel it now. Well, I can consciously, you can start to feel it, and it's like we need to rise the vibration. Well, basically, you're going to fall off.
Yeah, I feel similar to that.
That's the right way of putting it, really.
Yeah, it does sound pretty intense, and however, I feel similar. I feel. Because there's so much density, like you say, it's been polluted and toxics and all sorts of things from all sorts of aspects of living. And so they have an effect on us, whether we're aware of it or not. I mean, the less conscious you are, the less aware of the effect of things that are. So you just carry on thinking everything's fine, and then you get to...
Almost nothing to see here.
Yeah, and you have cancer, and a lot of people's life, getting cancer is just the norm, just what happens as you get old. No, it's not, So, those things, they have to come out in some ways. And if you haven't managed to come to a place to ask those questions or think about the way you live, what's in your environment and what you consume, and that's not just food, it's everything. It's going to have an effect, and it could be a major surgery, it could be a major illness, it could be passing away. Yeah, it's not for us to say. I feel, but that's what we can sense as possible. To what degree as well, But I think we're getting to a place where people need to start asking those questions, because they might become very unwell or have quite a horrific experience, not maybe for them directly, but at someone in their family or whatever. So, I just feel it's just part of how it works, because we've forgotten for so long. We've lived in these densities for so long, and now the light is huge. It's hitting the planet constantly, and more people are waking up. More and more people are willing to shift and change their life and ask questions and look at things and think, it doesn't feel right, okay, well, what can I do about that? And I feel a lot of people believe they can't do anything because they're one person, but as one person you can do massive things.
And I think that's important, what you just shared. People are waking up, and when you do wake up to the density or the reality, it can be really hard. Some people go, oh my God, I wish I was back asleep. Like, oh my God, this is too much. I wish I never woke up to that. And I know that because I have these people, lots of people come and have conversations with me about that. It would be so much easier if I was asleep because now I'm really angry. Angry is a natural emotion first. And, we have been taught to believe that anger, there's something wrong with it. We've been taught to believe that there's something wrong with our shadow part, anger, the shame, all of that, all of that energy is one whole. The interesting thing for me is I believe right now, whether you're seeing or wanting change on the planet and you think, oh, no one's going to listen to me, I'm not powerful enough, I'm not in a position to change anything, you actually are. Because I believe this is where we build community, grassroots up. We change our spaces by energetically standing in our power and moving our energy this way, vertical rather than horizontal rather than vertical. Yeah, I think that this is the thing. When we're living in an expanded level of consciousness, anything can change.
Yes. Yeah.
But we're so used to being up and down power, up and down power over us that really right now humanity is being asked to step into their sovereignty at a deeper level.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I feel it's just those, like for me, asking a question is a powerful tool. There's so much we believe we know, and there's so much we don't know. By asking a question invites something that you're not aware of that is part of your awareness to come in. And it's the same thing. If you're in that place where you're not sure what to do, you just offer some questions, and be open for them. Just even ask, I just need someone on who I can talk to about this to come into my world. And just throw that out there because you're supported, but your higher self and your guides are there and you're supported. And there's so many people asking those kind of questions as well. And I feel no matter where you are, you might think there's no one around here I can talk to about this. You'll be surprised that once you open yourself up to it, how many people are actually asking the same questions, or there's just the person next door who's just done Reiki or something, but they're not willing to talk about it,
Totally.
There's so much, and we are so supported on all levels. As human beings, we're conscious beings, and we just relate as, oh, that's just that person and I've worked with them and they do that, and we don't see them as being more than that because we're just on the treadmill doing everyday life. But actually, there's something deep within them as well. And the more of us, anytime anyone, so I believe whatever you be invites anyone else to be that as well. So nothing's ever lost. So every word that goes out, every thought, feeling goes into the collective and it doesn't disappear. So if you're asking those kind of questions, then there's many of those answers within the field. You just have to believe that it's accessible. And And yeah, it is. It does get harder. You do question, yeah, it would be easy if I just went to KFC and enjoyed it without having to think about what that means and all this kind of thing. But I know through my own journey, the deeper you go, the more beautiful it becomes. And as a becoming, you're becoming home to yourself. So you've just got to go with it. And yeah, like you say, all these things are being told to be bad, but, they're just there to be expressed and they're within us. So if we feel anger, we can have a conversation with anger. We can see anger as its own entity and go, hi, anger. So what would you like to express? How would you like to be expressed? What have you got for me that I'm not aware of that I need to know? You can see it as its own entity. And again, ask questions, inquire, okay, and then feel into the body. Okay, where does anger lie within my body? My head, my hip. Okay, did it start in my hip? Or maybe it was somewhere else, And there's just these self-inquiries and feeling into them. And it is about willingness, feeling, asking questions, being an invitation. I feel these are great tools.
Yeah, and I agree. I think we've been mollycoddled to believe that we need to go to an expert. And, we need to go to an expert. We need to go to someone to fix us. And, I mean, in some degrees, yes, you do. In some degrees, yes, you do. But I look at people, I look at my work as I'm here to activate people. I'm the codes, the seeds to awaken people to the stuff they don't want to see. So then they can go away and work on it and pull it to bits and get clearer. And I'm to guide them and accelerate them into being the best version of themselves. And that's my role. That's my role. But I'm not going to fix you. I can't do that work.
No.
And I think we've become this society, a percentage of us are the society that I'll go see this person and they'll fix me. I'll go see this person and I'll get fixed. When the reality is you have the codes for that.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. It's all within you, like so even a healer, you go and see a healer. The healer's a conduit for the light. It's you who heals yourself. Because you could lie on the table of a great healer and say, no, I don't want to change. And they're not going to be able to do a heck of a lot. They might make you feel better for a little while, but you'll get off the table and you'll just go back to your world. And that's because, you have that freedom to choose, and because you are the healer, you have to have the willingness to want to change. So, like you say, and I'm similar as well, just here to awaken, activate, and for you to find that power within yourself, because you are your own master. And and there is so many tools and teachers and ways of being and modalities out there that can assist us. For me, they're all about you finding that within yourself, finding yourself within yourself.
Finding your truth, getting closer to soul.
Your
absolutely.
soul expression. What is my soul expression? It doesn't matter. That's a crazy question for a lot of people, but honestly, no matter where you're at, if you ask yourself that and just be open, it'd be interesting to see what turns up, because I guarantee you'll start to see maybe the same number plate combos or something like that, something everyday life. Just take notice, that's all.
I totally agree. So light codes and the frequencies that are coming to Earth right now, because I think people are experiencing this in all different forms, where some people are experiencing it as an energetic. Some people are, like for me, I experience it at certain times as an absolute complete channel of a different language. Some people see it as symbols and drawings. What's your view on what is happening around this for people?
Well, I feel that it is just the light that's coming through to awaken people, to shift them and to notice what's within their body, because you can use light codes to clear things out. They're more known for activating and transmitting, and they're very good at that, but they also can clear things out, So that's basically what's happening, is they're just coming in because we've shifted into a frequency as a collective where they're more accessible and they're hitting the planet a lot more stronger. And we as a collective as well are opening more up to that, and that is actually a very natural state. If we go and look at more conscious, higher ways of living, we can say Atlantis and Lemuria and these kind of times, which some people may not be aware of, but ancient Egypt may be more tangible for people as well. And that's what's happening now, but it's not going back to those times. It's just remembering how we were in those times, and that's for now. This is a whole new way of being. So all those things, all those codes are there to activate that, for us to step more into our power and come through as our sovereign self.
And I think that's important, where people think that this is the only lifetime they've had, where I know that my soul has had many lifetimes, and right now that's because this is a human experience, this is my human suit. And so that soul, where we think it's a past life, it's actually remembering that and bringing it into the present, to bring it like it's all the same timeline.
Yeah, it's the same conscious stream.
Timeline, yeah. And so what's happening is our soul, as we connect more to our soul, we are able to access Lemurian, our lifetimes in Lemuria, our lifetimes in Egypt, our lifetimes in Atlantis, and bring that sacred knowledge into the present, which is what these light codes are activating.
Yeah, and also there will be people here that have come from the future as well.
Yes, and I think that's important to talk about too.
Accessing any, like you say, it is one stream of consciousness, so it's one timeline, and where it can be, we're multiverse, so we're everywhere at once, and so we can access anything, even into the future, There's reasons and purposes for coming from the future to this now moment,
And I think that's important to say that, right now, if someone listening is having a repeated dream or something that's like, oh, what's going on? You're probably accessing either the future, or it's something consciously on that stream that you need to go and revisit and do some work around to bring it into the here and now. And like, I know for myself, what's really been deeply, like, I know I've had a past life in Lemuria, and I know I've had a past life in Atlantis. My Atlantis energy right now is just OTT. It is just off the chart, and certain things that have happened in the collective, when the earth is moved, that has really activated some of that energy for me. With the different light coming in and the portals opening up, I'm noticing, especially here in the Marlborough Sounds, I'm noticing how deeply activated I am to do my work differently, to sing to the earth. Like, it's a recalling of a past wisdom that's actually a wisdom that's in the here and now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's similar for me. I mean, I'm in Golden Bay, and I've moved to a hut that I walk 10 minutes from my car to, so I'm just immersed in the bush, and it's a very small hut. And that's the reason for that, is because that's what I require at the moment, because I'm also singing, bringing through codes of light language, sound, toning, singing to earth, being with earth, and then listening to myself, what's going on for my body, and being in this environment that assists it, because there's not so much stuff going on in this environment.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it?
It is, yeah. We all have our own coding, and We all have, if you're on the planet now, you have a higher purpose, regardless, no matter who you are, wherever you're at, what you believe. If you're here, you knew to be here at this time because it's incredibly important and very special. So, yeah, if I see like there's a lot of people who say they care about the planet, but they're still not willing to feel what's in their body. If you really care about the planet, then you'll do the inner work, because what you can give to the planet and humanity is beyond anything you can imagine. And I'm still in that place myself. I'm morphing into those deep conscious awareness and codes, and then I'm stepping back into my human aspect, and it's going back and forth, and it's just part of the transitioning, because we're in a real transitional stage. We're opening ourselves up to so much, so we're also aware that what's happening in the greater good of all, also aware of what's happening on the collective and the human consciousness. A lot of people are actually still freaking out and asking questions, so you feel that. Just recently we had the cyclones and all that, and I was visiting my mum, so I was in her environment rather than my own, which is TV, Wi-Fi, heat pump, and all that, and I can manage those things. But when I'm living immersed in them, and then I have my mum suffering my dad's loss, and then I have a cyclone happening, these people, my body for one whole day was just shaking, and several times through the day I just bawled my eyes out, and it was just because they're connected with what's happening with the collective, and it's very close in that moment as well. So
yeah,
again,
I
just
get that.
observing what's going on, having tools to bring yourself back to your center, back to your own energy. Yeah.
And I think what you shared is really important, because right now, because the energy is shifting at such a fast vibration, and we're seeing, everything is going to be brought to the shadows, out of the shadows to the light, everything. I think, I know for myself, some days I can experience, 5 different emotions all in one day. 1 minute be crying, next minute be okay, next minute fully grounded, then I'm back on the Ferris wheel again. And it's just because of our innate deep empathy and connection to each other.
Yep.
And that's what we're actually learning. I'm not just me running the show over here. We're actually all interconnected. What is happening in the Hawke's Bay is actually happening to all of us.
Yeah.
Even, they've had the devastation, and that's horrific, but at a soul level, we're all in nature, we're all on the planet.
Yeah, for sure. It's incredible to think, that there's no separation. Again, we look at nature and we know, a lot of us know about trees and how interconnected the trees are, if their roots and everything, and they talk to each other and they communicate. And scientists have proven this. And I mean, science is slowly, bit by bit, catching up with what a lot of conscious modalities and philosophies have been talking about for eons, which is awesome, because a lot of people need that tangible knowledge. But, if you want to think of us and nature and being close to it, then that's a classic example that they all communicate with each other, and we do the same. You can feel what someone else is feeling, and that can happen. You walk into a room and you can have a sense of, oh, this feels awesome. I feel uplifted because people are happy and they're talking. Well, this feels heavy. Oh, I don't know whether I want to be in here. And that's not you're feeling. It's the energy, the environment, and yeah, even if you're not that open, you can feel those and relate to those. So you can start to think about what more, how could I expand that? How much further, how much more things are going on in my world that affect me that I don't realise. I could have a feeling about something and think it's mine, but actually it belongs to my grandmother. I thought it is true, or it's my neighbour and I can feel them, whatever.
I noticed that for myself, because obviously I lived in Rangiora, for the last 10 years. And I noticed the last 2 years after I started to receive, after I started to work more and open more, work more with my gift and open myself up more, I started and received light codes and downloads and, everything that we've just spoken about. I noticed that for myself, I struggled being around people, being consciously in other people's energy fields, and how much it was actually starting to affect me as a whole. And, there were multiple reasons to why we moved to Picton, but there's something now for myself that, 4 months in, 5 months in, I'm really conscious that now my nervous system is actually just my nervous system. It's no one else's. Where before, I felt everything on multiple levels, and it didn't matter how much I ground, didn't matter what I did, it wasn't shifting.
Yeah, I guess that's because you've just come to a vibration where you need a supportive environment. And I think that's what it is, because that's, we're pure beings. So as you raise your vibration, or you go into higher realms of being, then you are becoming more open to everything. And that's why what we're trying to say here about being crystallized is that's where we're moving towards. And at some point we will become a crystallized being as a whole, and within that there'll be a pure way of living. But as we're in this transition, we're stepping into that at moments, but we're still in this dense world, so we're like, oh, okay, it can be pretty intense to handle. So, listening to your inner knowing and knowing that you need to change your environment to support your well-being is amazing,
Is there any last words that you would like to share with the listeners, Jacob, before we end?
I would say be kind to yourself.
Don't say that. You sound like Jacinda Ardern.
Well, no, I don't mean it in the way she does.
Love it.
It's a journey, no matter where you are on your conscious path, it's a journey, and it's constantly changing, and you feel you've sorted something out and something else presents itself, and it seems endless, but it's beautiful when you bring yourself back into the moment. When you just know that you're a conscious being in a human body and you're living present with this moment, actually everything is fine, because your conscious self is just with what is. It doesn't have a good or bad or right or wrong or anything, judgment, condemnation or nothing. It's just with what is. And so having tools that bring yourself into the present moment will benefit you greatly. And through the journey of exploring more of yourself and feeling these emotions, or noticing you had a pattern where you were horrible to someone, don't give yourself a hard time about it. Just recognise it, see where it came from, move through it, and look at the beauty in life. Because if you look around, if you just go into a real neutral space and look around you, there's beauty everywhere.
Yeah. Absolutely. Totally agree. Hey, thank you so much for your time, Jacob, and your wisdom, your heart, for showing up and sharing you to the world and making a difference. Because right now we need more men to stand up and stand in their power.
Yeah. I thank you. I gratefully received that. And, it would be nice. I just did a call. I think there was like 170 people invited, and there was 8 of us on the call, and I was the only man, and it was a very conscious call. I thought there would have been a few more guys. It was about grid work on Earth, and there's still a big imbalance. So I'm more than happy to just shine my light as much as I can and be true to myself and be that invitation for others. And grateful for you as well. Thank you for you having the space and stepping out there as well and all that.